evening, Tallahassee, and thanks for tuning in to 4FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Jordan Frazier.
I'm student meteorologist Megan Berry.
It's been a pretty hot day today. How was your day? I mean,
hot
I know
to say the least. It has been hot, it has been dry, it has been not very humid, but those hot temperatures are getting to me, that's for sure.
No, indeed, and that is because we are actually in a little trough of just dry air right now. We have a cold front on our way. We'll get to that later in the forecast. However, it seems like that the hot temperatures are going to be sticking around for quite some time.
Yeah.
For the next couple of days, it doesn't look to be that nice.
Well, fall is on its way, I think. Maybe middle of next month, we'll start feeling those colder temperatures, hopefully.
Yes.
Because right now we're sitting in the lower 90s throughout the day, and between your walks in classes and just going to your car even, you start to sweat.
Oh yeah, especially sitting in the car. I got to turn up the AC all the way, and then, but you're running a pretty kind of short when it comes to that. So you always got to wear those shorts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're expecting a little bit of rain this weekend, but unfortunately, we won't be on campus to get soaked with that rain.
Yes.
So.
As a matter of fact, I believe Charlie has a little bit more on what we have to see ahead, maybe even some record temperatures.
Yeah,
we might
absolutely.
be breaking.
Thank you, guys. Like they said, I'm student meteorologist Charlie Bowen. If we look at the high today, we got a high of 92 and a low of 67, showing that average 86 degrees with the low at 65. See our records getting pretty close to that high at 96 and 1972, nowhere near that low from 2001. Looking ahead to today's high temperatures around the Big Bend region, we can see 93 degrees all the way up in Bainbridge, 92 degrees in Perry, 92 degrees here in Tallahassee. A little bit cooler out towards the coast with 90 degrees Apalachicola. All right. Looking at the satellite, pretty much not a lot to show. We got a little weak high right here off the coast of Tampa, which is causing all this wind to be coming from the north, keeping us dry. Keeping us dry here in Tallahassee. If we look tonight's forecast, we got 70 degrees, nice and cool. Like I said, with that high pressure, we're going to have a clear night, keep those clouds away, giving us a perfect stargazing night. And also because of that high pressure, we're going to have that the wind out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour, another light night of wind. Looking at the weather headlines for the rest of the day, we got above average temperatures, rain chances increasing later in the week through the weekend, and fall, is it coming? Possibly. We've seen some lower temperatures, but not much yet. And I'm going to send it back to the desk with Megan and Jordan.
Thanks so much, Charlie. That was really good, considering that was his first time debuting here on FSU Weather.
You did a great job, and we're so excited to have you on the show.
Yes, we are. For now, though, we're going to talk about weather history, what happened back in whatever time today in weather. Right now, we have in 1959, a tornado 440 yards in width, traveled about 20 miles near Hollow, Oklahoma, to western Cherokee County in Kansas.
Wow. 440 yards in width? That is massive. And
That's
I mean,
a big tornado.
I've never experienced a tornado because I'm born and raised in Florida, but have you ever been experienced?
I have not, no. I've been within an area where a tornado warning has been issued, but I never actually saw the tornado itself.
Okay.
Although it was a strong tornado, it was very slow moving, gave a tremendous warning roar. And that's a very common characteristic among tornadoes. They like to have that that train-like noise to it.
Okay, and also in 1970, so a long time ago, afternoon highs of 103 degrees in Long Beach, California. And I know California doesn't get too hot, but I mean, on the beach, 103, you can just jump in that cool San Francisco water and cool off, right?
Yeah, seems pretty nice. However, the fierce winds that were brought along with this record heat brought along a bunch of wildfires, actually very common to what we see now.
Right,
out
so
west.
luckily no severe weather here, but I think you're going to go ahead and talk about some local weather we're experiencing.
Yes, I am. We are going to head out there right now, and it's still a very hot day outside here in the Big Bend region. 91 degrees is what we have set up here under partly cloudy skies. That humidity is actually surprisingly lower than what we've seen over the past couple of days, only at 42%. And that dew point also is sitting pretty low as well at 65 degrees. And we have about variable winds right now at about 7 miles per hour. However, right now we are going to look at the current temperatures. 90s throughout much of the region. 91 in Tallahassee, 90 in Monticello. A couple of 80s sneaking in here and there. 88 in St. Mark's, and much cooler down by the coast where the water is to keep them warm at 84 degrees in Carabel. And those lower dew points too as well are scattering throughout the region. 66 up in Valdosta, 66 in Perry, and about 65 here in Tallahassee. And with these 60 degrees in the dew points, we're no longer in the oppressive region of all this hot, icky, sticky moisture that we feel in the air. Rather, we're in the more moderate side. So it does feel a little bit nicer outside, especially being a Floridian myself. Satellite and radar right now showing a couple of clouds off to the south. Out in the coast. No threat to us whatsoever. Most of these storms are staying out of our region right now. You don't see anything until you reach all the way over into the coast of Jacksonville in terms of rain, so we won't be seeing that for quite some time. Regional setup, here's what we have here. We have that cold front, and it's going to start to bring cool, dry air into our region, and it's connected to these two little low pressure systems, one up north in Canada, and then we have one out west where in Texas, and then right next to it we have Hurricane Maria over there. If you want to head out boating, it might actually be a good day to do it because it's going to be mostly clear skies, winds calming down. If you're going to head into tonight, we're going to start to see a pretty hot evening, starting off with 90 degrees heading into your 7 o'clock hour. 10 o'clock, it's going to cool down a good bit, and the winds are going to calm down, resulting in the low to mid 70s by the late tonight. Thursday, it's going to be 95, hot and sunny. 5 days as we head on, it's going to be 95 tomorrow, very hot. Friday, those rain chances are going to start to increase as we head into the weekend where that cold front is going to affect us, and that 30% by Saturday. But notice that big drop in temperature as it's going to go to 82 degrees by Sunday. However, Megan's going to go on and talk a little bit more about the southeast.
Go ahead and pan things out and just take a look at the entire southeast region, not just Tallahassee here. Our current sky conditions are looking pretty good. We have some partial cloud coverage here throughout the region. Montgomery is a sunny spot there right in the middle with no clouds, but that 90-degree weather is not affecting any of the cloud coverage here in Tallahassee. Still very, very hot with those conditions. Current temperatures looking pretty good as well. We have all red throughout the southeast region, indicating that it is warm throughout the entire area. Lower 90s, upper 80s, that's the story for the week. Later cooling off with that cool front, but right now we're sitting very hot. Tallahassee, our current relative humidity is at 42%. That is not too oppressive. Jordan just explained that rather, and that's just telling us that it's pretty humid out, but it's not super dry either. So for Florida, it's pretty good, 42. Montgomery, just a little bit lower at 36. New Orleans at 37. So just a pretty similar story for the relative humidity as well. Southeast radar, we can see some stuff going on down here in South Florida. We have some pop-up showers down here in the Keys. Over here in Texas, though, we'll touch on that a little later. A lot of activity with that low pressure system going on over there. Up here right above me, we can see that is Maria dissipating out there in the Atlantic, not affecting us too much. Southeast staying pretty clear for your Wednesday evening. We're going to go ahead and move on to our low pressure systems we have in the area. I just touched on Texas and New Mexico. They can see that a lot of rain activity going on there. They have some low pressure systems moving throughout the region, bringing a lot of moisture and a lot of rain into the region. So they are going to be cooling off just a bit. I know Texas is still having some flash flood issues with the Harvey aftermath, but right now they are going to be feeling a little bit more rain with that low pressure. Moving on over to the other side of the United States, we can see this area over here in northeastern United States getting some rain too. So where is it in Florida? We're still sitting really dry here. We're not getting any of that. Nothing that's going to be affecting the southeast region tonight. Vapor upper level looking pretty good too. We can see we have a lot of dry air moving over the southeast region. Not my favorite color combo, orange and green, but when we're talking about water vapor, we can see that we have a lot going down on here in the Gulf. Over here in Texas with all that rain, they're getting some really, really moist air, but right here we're staying pretty dry in that trough. So nothing really affecting us too much. Our watches and warnings, we can see the Tallahassee region looking pretty clear. Some flood issues down here near Orlando. Up here we have some craft advisories with Maria sitting out there, but right now we are looking pretty good. It's a good story for us. We're going to go ahead and send things back to the desk. We're going to talk about some football and some sports going on for FSU. Charlie, I know that you were reading up on some football stats. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, we've got Derwin James talking about Wake Forest. He's real concerned with how important this game is. And since Florida State started out 0-2 for the first time since the year I was born, 1989, this is a pretty big deal.
Is it? Okay, so our football team this year I know is not doing too well so far, but I know we have a game coming next Saturday, or this Saturday at Wake Forest, right?
Yeah, this Saturday, like Derwin James said, is a defensive back for Florida State. He said this is a big game right here. This is probably one of the biggest games. I feel like this is a very important game and a key game that we need to win.
I agree. I mean, I know the fans are feeling a little disheartened because of the losses we've been experiencing, but we always believe in our team. We have good years, we have bad years, and we have good games, we have bad games. So just go ahead and support your Noles when they're at home, and if they're not at home, try and tune into the game, right?
That's right. Try and root for the Noles. That's right.
Well, we are going to go ahead and send things back to Jordan with a look at our national weather.
Thanks so much, Charlie and Megan. Right now, we're going to look at the current conditions throughout the entire nation. Right now, I like to play one of my favorite games with you guys. It's called Spot the Cold Front. You can see this big area of temperature change along the Midwest, all the way up, stretching into the Northeast, right where Detroit is at about 73 degrees and mostly cloudy skies. Here in Tallahassee, we're going to see about 91 degrees right now, still very hot, but right behind that cold front, you're going to see a lot cooler weather. Kansas City at about 67 degrees under mostly sunny skies too, so very nice out there. As you head farther west, you're going to see Denver at about 55 degrees and about Billings looking at a comfortable 70 degrees under those partly cloudy skies. Here's that water vapor we talked about, where that orange is that dry air sitting above us right now, resulting in that lower humidity and dew point, which does make these higher temperatures a little bit more bearable as we head on out there. But a lot of that moisture is going to be associated with those two low pressure systems that we have. That one sitting out in Texas and that other one sitting way up here just in the northeast, in the southwestern and the southeastern side of Canada. Here's that 24-hour temperature change map. You can see especially where that cold front went. 17-degree temperature drop from yesterday out in Detroit. Memphis saw about a 1-degree temperature increase. Atlanta 2, and about New Orleans and 4. Boston, it was actually very hot at about a 10-degree difference. But as you get out farther west, they saw pretty hot out there too. Kansas City at about +3, Minnesota at +1, and Billings at about +5. So large temperature variation associated with this front. There it is, that big cold front, and it's going to be moving its way towards us, and it is going to be bringing a lot of rain and storms with it as well. We talked about that in the 5-day forecast. You saw that 30%. That's exactly this system that's moving our way. However, it will result in much cooler temperatures as we head into the later weekend. There's those two low pressure systems just sitting to the west of San Antonio, all the way up, stretching all the way up to Dallas, and even farther north into Oklahoma and Kansas. So you saw just south of Kansas City a little bit of activity over there. Out in New Mexico, you're going to see that system just in Albuquerque as you head north into Colorado, just south of Denver. You even see a little bit of snow here and there. You don't see snow too much this time of year, but we are starting to see that out in the Rocky Mountains. There's that other low pressure system. It's going to be sitting right along the border of Canada and the United States. So, but that should not bother us anytime soon, so no fret there. However, we are going to look at these watches, warnings, advisories, a lot of little flood warnings as we head out with those associated with those storms out in Texas. Airport delays, not anything to talk about, so that's very good news. Tonight, though, is going to look pretty nice. The coldest temperature here in Tallahassee we're going to see is about 69, New Orleans in 74. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be very hot, though. 96 degrees is our projected high here in Tallahassee. But however, I am going to start to take it over to the lab, where we are going to discuss one of my favorite websites that we have here in Tallahassee, here with being an eccentric meteorologist like myself. What we like to talk about is one of the hurricane websites that I like to show, and it's called Tropical Tidbits. And it was actually created by one of our special guests, excuse me, let me turn on the television over here so that way you can see what we have going on. Right now, one of my favorite websites that we have is called Tropical Tidbits, and it's actually run by a FSU graduate. Right now, we actually can see on our map Hurricane Lee. There's that latest satellite imagery, you can see right over here, there's its location. Lots of strong winds. It is a Category 3 hurricane, now with sustained winds at about 115 miles an hour. However, it is no threat to land, and we can tell just by continuing down with this website. We can even click on something like the official National Hurricane Center forecast. Let me zoom into this for you with our newfangled camera, if I can figure out how to work it. Whoops. Let's do this. That way you can see a little bit more of the television while I show this to you. So we can see now maximum sustained winds at 115 miles per hour, and it's moving north-northwest at about 8 miles per hour. And notice this cone. This goes out about 3 days, and it's making a very sharp right turn, heading far, far out into the Atlantic, being no threat to us whatsoever. It is also going to weaken, notice this, where it says H, it means it's going to be a hurricane between winds of not major, so it's actually going to weaken to a Category 2, then a 1, and then by 2 p.m. Friday, notice that S there. That S means tropical storm. So that means it's going to go out very far, it's going to weaken very quickly, and notice the size of this cone in comparison to what we've seen with hurricanes such as Maria and Irma. We no longer see cones of that small size, so that means we are very certain that this thing is going to be moving far, far out of our way. Let me go ahead and find another map for you, and these show the spaghetti plots of the hurricane models of Hurricane Lee and where they expect it to go, and it's going to be heading way off into the Atlantic again, and all the models are in a great agreement with that. So this is an absolutely great website. You can see another surface plot where it's just sitting there as a low pressure system. This might have also aircraft data as you move along, but this is going to be a great website to use, especially if you're interested in a lot of like hurricane hunting and things like that as we head into the future. But for now, we are going to head it out to the desk where Charlie and Megan are going to be standing by.
All right, thanks so much, Jordan. We're going to go ahead and take things back to Maria, as you just talked about some hurricanes. We have some relevant information going on in regards to Maria. First thing is that it's slowly moving past North Carolina, bringing some heavy winds, bringing some possible storm surge flooding, but there is a silver lining to that, and I think Charlie wanted to touch on what that was.
Right, yeah, now that, you know, the surf has been excellent on the East Coast for the past about 3 weeks, thanks to Maria, and as it slowly starts fading away, the mess that's going on right next to the coast right now will actually start to clean up and give some better surfing waves for after you have the chance to take a little rest.
Yeah, are you a surfer?
I do what I can, but you know, it's about 45 minutes to the beach, and we don't get a lot of swell around here.
Okay, well, maybe you got to make a trip up to North Carolina for that. But on a more serious note, the Hurricane Maria has sustained winds at 180 miles an hour. So it's actually pretty impactful, and we can see those are east-northeast of North Carolina, and it's moving north-northeast about 6 miles per hour. So it's creeping along, but not too much of an effect for the Tallahassee and our immediate region. So just something to keep an eye on and be aware of. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about some stuff that's going on in the tropics. We have a lot of information there. We're just at the lab right now, but we're going to go ahead and take things back to the wall so that we can talk about the tropic conditions going on. We have some stuff going on that I want to talk about with you guys. Tropical update for FSU weather. We have, of course, first and foremost, our list of Atlantic storm names we can talk about right now. Look at this list we had this year. All these names, and of course, the most notable Irma that affected Tallahassee. But right now, we're keeping an eye on Lee and Maria. Lee is sitting at a 3 right now. Maria did get up to a 5, but right now it's just about a 1. So nothing that is too severe for anyone on the east coast of the United States. Lee is at a 3 right now. It's not going to affect us either, but it's something we got to keep an eye on. We got to talk about that. So when we do talk about a 3, we're going to talk about what that means on the Saffir-Simpson scale and how that affects us. We have a hurricane climatology graph right here. I'm going to move over here so we can talk about this. This is possible hurricane paths for anything that forms out in the Atlantic Ocean. We see, of course, the darker water being the more hot water where conditions are more likely to affect hurricane formation. We see that a lot of these arrows go up here, curving up to the northeastern part of the United States. Going down here, of course, Puerto Rico was impacted by Maria very intensely. And we see, of course, a lot of these going up here, down by the Caribbean, back up into the Gulf of Mexico, and hitting us right here in Tallahassee in the Florida region. So these are just very common for this time of year. September is the height of hurricane season. Got to be aware of that. We got to track these climatology records. And as I mentioned earlier, our Saffir-Simpson scale. And in meteorology terms, this is what we use to determine the intensity of a storm when it comes to winds and effects it has on the population. We're talking about Lee right now. It's sitting at a 3. It has sustained winds at 115 miles per hour. So we can see on a 3, it goes anywhere from 111 to 130. And what that can do is can bring very heavy storm surge, a lot of winds, a lot of rain for the region. So a 3 is not something to joke around about. It's not a 4, it's not a 5, but it's still very impactful if it does cross over your region. Talking about our Atlantic satellite, we got a lot of cloud coverage going on, and not just all that is clouds. We can see Lee sitting right out here, getting a little more intense, but nothing that's going to affect our immediate area anytime soon. Maria up here making its way up the east coast and then dissipating as it moves northern. We see a lot of stuff going down here by Cuba, and we can see that low pressure system over there in Texas and New Mexico. So really just a lot going on with the Atlantic area right now. Hurricane Maria and Lee, we can see we have a satellite here showing the cloud intensity. Darker red showing more dense and more impactful clouds. As we can see, it is circling around that eye. So Maria up there, still keeping an eye on that, just wanting to make sure that it's not going to come near us, not going to affect our region. Hurricanes are something we got to talk about this time of year. But for right now, we're going to send it to Jordan at the desk.
Thanks so much, Megan. Great to know that we have nothing to worry about in terms of hurricanes. It's good that we have all of our blocks in a row for that. Right now, we are going to talk about some Florida State University news. Florida State leads another 5 spots in national rankings. Right now, U.S. News and World Report ranked FSU number 33 among public universities, and that is nationwide. That is not just among Florida public universities. It is public universities nationwide. It's jumped to number 33 after moving up 5 places for the 2nd consecutive year. So think about that. 2 years ago when I joined this university, it was number 43 in terms of rankings among public universities, but now it's jumped up to 33. So I'm amazed how fast this university has grown, and I've even seen a lot of the buildings, a lot of the people here grow with us too. And I'm especially excited about the new meteorology building. Hopefully I'll still be here whenever that gets finished. It said that the ranking appears in the U.S. News and World Report Best Colleges of 2018 guidebook. And in 2 years, FSU has vaulted up again 10 spots. So that's absolutely amazing that we get to have that. We're thrilled that U.S. News and World Report continued to recognize Florida State University as one of the best universities in the nation, said our president, John Thrasher. It means our reputation of academic excellence is rising throughout the state and the nation, and that's a reflection of our world-class faculty, staff, and students. And I could not agree more with that statement, President John Thrasher. Florida State's excellent graduation and student retention rates are the driving force behind the rankings among the best public universities. FSU's 4-year graduation rate is among the top 25 nationally. So not only that, but not only that you have to be in the best, one of the best universities, but among the best in terms of graduation rate. But for now, we are going to bring it out to the wall where we do have Megan standing by with a look around Florida.
Well, thank you, Jordan. What an ego boost for us students here at school. A really prestigious university I'm happy to be part of as well. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the entire state of Florida once again. We can see pretty calm and clear conditions throughout the entire Panhandle and South Florida. So just looking really good for anyone that has family out in Florida, South Florida, North Florida. The entire region looks really great tonight. And we're going to look at our current dew point. Very mild, very comfortable throughout the entire state. A little bit more down here in West Palm Beach. They're sitting at 77, so they're pretty humid there on the water. But us in Tallahassee, 65 and comfortable. Water vapor, as I showed earlier, we can see there's a lot of different stuff going on, but mostly our region sitting in that trough of dry air, so we've been feeling pretty dry and warm. Rain later in the week, though, as we can see satellite and radar, not showing it right now. We're panning out through Wednesday p.m., and we really see nothing going on affecting us, so we can plan to stay dry for the next 48 hours before that rain hits us. Looking at our futurecast radar, though, we do see that rain is moving a little bit over Jacksonville. Fort Myers, my hometown, getting pounded with rain right now. So happy I'm not there right now, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at our futurecast moving in. Still looking pretty good. Tonight's forecast, 69 in Tallahassee, 72 in Pensacola. Barely reaching that under 70-degree mark. As we can see later next week, those temps are going to be dropping to a lower 60s, but right now we're sitting at 69, and that is an overnight low. So if you're at about 2 or 3 a.m., you'll be feeling that 69 degrees, but you're going to wake up tomorrow and start sweating immediately because we're going to be reaching those 90s again. Looking at Thursday's forecast, 96 and sunny. That is so hot, I will not be outdoors on Thursday. But if you're in South Florida, maybe hit up the beach. Miami at 91, partly cloudy, just really great Florida Sunshine State conditions all throughout Thursday. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our current conditions once again. Tallahassee, 91 degrees, partly cloudy, dew point 65, humidity 42, and a 7-mile-an-hour wind, just very mild and nice throughout the region. We're going to go ahead and send it off to Charlie with a look at our local conditions.
Thank you, Megan. And like she pointed out, we have that 91 degrees currently in Tallahassee Regional Airport. 65-degree humidity, 65-degree dew point, giving us that low 42% of humidity. And like she said, variable winds. That means the winds are coming out of multiple different directions, but it's at a constant about 7 miles an hour. Looking at the current temperatures around the Big Bend region, we got St. Mark's 88 degrees, Perry 90, Monticello 90, Thomasville 90. Looking out around the coast, we got Carabel 84, Apalachicola 86. So we can see that they actually tried to start a little bit of a sea breeze, so they got a little bit, maybe some pop-up showers and a little bit cooler temperatures. Looking ahead at the local dew point, again, we can see that same pretty much spread up here in the north. We got 65-degree dew point, 66 in Quincy, 70 all the way north in Bainbridge. But if you look closer down to the coastal region, you see those numbers are a little bit closer to the temperature, giving them a little bit more humidity. Moving on, looking at these dew points, we can see a description. Anything above 80-degree dew points, pretty miserable. Looking at anything in the 70s, looking pretty oppressive. Moderate 60 to 69. So we love to get into that comfortable range a little bit further once fall officially kicks off and once those temperatures start cooling down a little bit. Looking at the satellite radar, not a whole lot to show. We've got, like I said earlier, we've got the high pressure a little bit off the coast of Tampa, so that's causing all this dry air to keep coming from the a little bit north. And you can kind of see a little bit of cloud action in that Apalachicola Carabel area, but not a lot of rainfall. Looking ahead, the tri-state watches and warnings, we got a small craft advisory off the coast of South Carolina and some flood watches as well along the central Florida region, especially on either side of Orlando. There's also St. Johns River area that's not expected to fully dump that water that Hurricane Irma decided to dump off. Once that finally starts getting out, maybe some of these flood watches and warnings will actually start to disappear. Moving ahead to the futurecast, we can see the winds for 8 p.m. tonight, and we can see actually how they transition in tomorrow. As the sun rises, we see a little bit of wind shift. Still have that northerly wind, so still expect dry conditions tomorrow. Moving later on to Thursday afternoon, we see the winds start to change around the coast, so we're going to get a little bit more moisture as it starts coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. Moving further into Friday, again, we see the winds shifting with the sunrise and turning to more of an east-northeast fashion. Looking ahead, Friday, again, see those winds move again, but keeping out of that east-northeast. Tonight's forecast, we have 70 degrees in Tallahassee, 70 St. Mark's, Carabel, Apalachicola, 73, 72 degrees. Another perfect stargazing night, clear skies, nice beautiful moon tonight with winds around 5 miles per hour. Thursday's forecast, 91 in St. Mark's, 95 Tallahassee, Quincy, 93 with calm winds, beautiful sunny day. Later tonight, we got another hot evening, 90 degrees, 7 p.m. Cool, but start to cool down around 10 into midnight. We can get into the mid-70s, but still pretty hot, still pretty humid. Looking at the week ahead, we can see Thursday, Friday, and keeping into the 90s with the dew points, with the lows around 70. We see the rain chance increasing Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and into the next week. But hopefully it won't drop off too much rain. And I'm going to send it back to the desk with Megan and Jordan.
Thanks again, Charlie. So happy to have you as part of our weather show. You did a great job for your first show, and we're looking forward to having more of you. But that's all we can do for tonight for FSU Weather. We're going to go ahead and sign off tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I'm student meteorologist Megan Berry.
Just student meteorologist Jordan Frazier. Have a great night.